Juan Gris came to Paris from Madrid in 1906, 23 years old, nearly broke, and not yet known as a painter. He earned money drawing cartoons for newspapers and satirical magazines, while living in Montmartre among artists and poets who were already beginning to dismantle the old rules of European painting. Picasso was nearby. So were Braque, Apollinaire, and Max Jacob. For Gris, this was less a glamorous artistic circle than a working environment. He watched Cubism develop at close range before deciding what he could add to it. That decision took time. Unlike Picasso, Gris had studied engineering before committing himself to art, and something of that training seems to have stayed with him. He liked systems. He liked proportion. When he finally began painting seriously, his pictures did not have the rough uncertainty found in some early Cubist experiments. They were controlled almost to the point of obsession. A bottle might lean across a table, but its angle would answer another angle elsewhere. The edge of a newspaper might line up with the neck of a guitar. A shadow could become more solid than the object casting it. He was taking familiar things apart, then rebuilding them so carefully that the painting seemed to hold itself together by pressure. Gris often painted the sort of objects that could be found within arm's reach of his studio. Glasses, fruit, pipes, books, guitars, newspapers. There was nothing grand about the subject matter. The excitement came from what happened to those objects once they entered the painting. A guitar was no longer simply a guitar. It became a curve, then a flat strip of color, then a piece of wood grain, then perhaps only the suggestion of a sound hole. Your eye had to reconstruct it. By the middle of the 1910s, his color had become richer. This is where Gris separates himself most clearly from the brown and gray cubism people often associate with Picasso and Braque. He could use blue beside ochre, violet beside green, printed wallpaper beside carefully painted surfaces. Sometimes real paper was pasted directly onto the canvas. There is a playful intelligence in this. A piece of newspaper might represent newspaper, but it could also become part of a table. A painted patch of wood might look more artificial than the real printed material beside it. Gris constantly shifts the line between an object and the image of an object. He once explained his method in a way that reveals a great deal about how he thought. Rather than beginning with a bottle and reducing it into geometry, he preferred to begin with geometry and allow the bottle to appear from it. That reversal matters. It means the painting was not a distorted copy of reality. It was something built from the ground up. During the First World War, his compositions became increasingly clear and stable. The fragments grew larger. The spaces became quieter. Even when several viewpoints were compressed into a single image, there was less visual noise. He had found a way to make Cubism feel almost classical. This order was hard-won. Gris was often short of money. His health was poor, and the war disrupted the art market on which he depended. Yet his work from these years rarely feels desperate. Instead, he seems to respond to instability by making the paintings more deliberate. Later, he carried this way of thinking into the theater, designing sets and costumes for Sergei Diaghilev's Ballet Russe. It suited him. A stage, after all, is another constructed world. Flat surfaces pretending to have depth. Artificial spaces made convincing through arrangement. Gris died at 40, before Cubism itself had settled comfortably into art history. That short life can make him seem like a secondary figure beside Picasso and Braque. His paintings argue otherwise. He understood Cubism from the inside, but he refused to imitate its founders. He made it cleaner, brighter, more measured, and, at times, unexpectedly elegant. Look closely at one of his tables, and almost everything has been moved, tilted, flattened, or broken apart. And yet somehow, nothing feels out of place.